Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. What an absolutely sensational week it's been wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours. I know here in Australia we're all grumbling about it being winter and it's been cold, and some places it's been a little bit rainy, but I suppose we do have to have a change of seasons. You know, I feel sorry. I have lots of friends in the UK and they've been messaging me and telling me that they're absolutely melting over there. It's so hot. You know, for those darling little friends I've got over there, anything above 26 is really, really extreme. But when they sort of message me and say it's 36 and they're sitting in the bath with a bucket of ice, I can understand that. I mean, I'm fortunate where I live on the Gold Coast. If we get a hot day, it's 30 or 31 degrees, and we all whinge too. We like it about 29, 30 is nice and pleasant. So wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours, I hope you've had a wonderful week, because it is a really great time to be alive, is it not? So this week, the Simply Tarot card of the week is the Three of Cups. Now, the Three of Cups is a card of celebration and bright happiness. Now, I'm sure we've all got something that we can celebrate or something that we can feel bright and positive about. It doesn't necessarily mean it's our birthday or our anniversary or a work anniversary. It's just we can celebrate being alive. I think that's the important message here, is the fact that we're all breathing. We're all still alive. We've come through the other side of the pandemic, and we're living to tell the tales. And there'll be stories that we'll pass on down through the generations about, you know, the great COVID pandemic. You know, I know here in Australia when COVID first reached our shores, everybody compared it to the Spanish flu that was 100 years prior. So people still have memories, and we've got a lot to celebrate, that we're all still breathing. We've got a beautiful, amazing planet that we live in, and we all should be thankful for the family and friends that we have and the bounty of food that's on our table. There's not some people in the world that aren't so lucky, particularly our dear friends that are living in Ukraine and going through that battle of the war with Russia at the moment. My heart goes out to them. I mean, they haven't got a lot to celebrate, but they have this week because they've taken back parts of their own country again and are going to start to rebuild. Their spirit, their faith in themselves and their unwavering determination to not give in, I think is something that we can all cherish. The fact that we should celebrate that there's some amazing people in the world that just don't give up. So if you're feeling a little tiny bit down, please don't. Let's start to try and find some small thing in your life that we can celebrate, that you can celebrate this week, and enjoy the magic of just being alive, of being here and being able to spend time with family and friends, and look forward to some bright, positive things that are coming our way. So it is a great time to be alive, and we're going to move on now to the astrology section. Each week it seems to be getting a little bit more intense than what it was the week before, and I don't mean it to sound intense. I just want to share with you what's actually happening. If I was to walk outside and take a snapshot of the heavens and translate it for you, this is exactly what's happening for the 12 zodiac signs. I'm not really going to break it up into anybody in particular has to worry about anything this week. Let's look at it as a blanket sort of interpretation this week for each and every one of us. Some of us will feel it a little bit more than others, but for most of us, we're sort of going to breeze through this, I think. The sun's still in Gemini at the moment. I like it when the sun's in Gemini because it means people are out and about and having fun and sort of really sort of using their grey matter and thinking outside the box and sort of, you know, wanting to be sort of full of ideas. And it doesn't matter what your star sign is or where you live in the world. A lot of people feel a little bit more energised at this half of the year, where they sort of feel that, you know, they've got over the new year, their New Year's resolutions. They're looking forward to the second half of the year and the other part of their resolutions that they're going to bring to fruition, or the changes that they're bringing into their life. So it is a time of great optimism and excitement and a lot of ideas flashing in and out of our minds. So it's a good thing. The moment we have the moon now, the moon moves very, very quickly around the zodiac. It only stays in a sign for 2.5 days. So when we start talking about the moon, we've got to really remember that the moon's going to have its skates on and it's going to be moving very, very quickly. So what I'm going to be talking about next here with the moon sitting in Taurus is more about, for each and every one of us, the things that we value, how we look at things in our lives and what's important to us, the things that we sort of personally sort of hold near and dear to our hearts. And that's not always money. It can be the things that are precious to us, our family, our friends, the things that we value the most. So the moon here is conjunct or holding hands the North Node. Now, the North Node is not a planet. It's one of the moon's nodes, and it's showing us the way that we should be aspiring to or what we're hoping to reach. And it's a time now where the moon is asking us to really reach for the stars and sort of really reach for the highest pinnacle that we can possibly achieve in our lives at the moment on an emotional level. Now, the North Node is conjunct or holding hands the part of fortune. Now, this doesn't mean we're going to win a fortune or come into a fortune. It's where we are most fortunate in our lives. Now, fortune doesn't always mean money. It can be where we're most comfortable or where we feel secure. Now, the part of fortune is also holding hands or conjunct Jupiter, the planet of expansion, opportunity, and luck. So, to translate this into very basic terms, emotionally at the moment, we're very, very charged at the moment. We are being shown the way forward where we can bring our lives into a balance like never before, or we haven't seen in a very, very long time. We have the opportunity here to expand our horizons, to understand the triggers, the things that are driving us to sort of achieve better things in our lives, to want to bring more peace, stability into our family, wanting to sort of really sort of ramp up our personal values, the things that are important to us. And we want to do it in a practical, logical, down-to-earth sort of manner. We want to do it in a way that it's very stable, that we're putting a very secure foundation underneath each and every one of us to be able to achieve what we want to achieve. It's the first time in 40-odd years that I've been in astrology that I've seen this configuration as strong as this. So it's something to me that we shouldn't squander. We should look at our lives and say, what is it that I need to sort of stabilize? Is there any area of my life that needs a little bit more of attention? Is there a family matter or an issue that I've been avoiding dealing with or talking to about somebody about something important? Now's the time, because everybody's sort of really trying to achieve the same goal of peace, tranquility, of trying to achieve the best possible outcome for everybody concerned in the matters of the emotional situations. And sometimes emotions are really tricky to deal with because people sort of have them flying all over the shop. Somebody gets really emotionally charged in a negative way and someone else sees it in a positive way. This sort of neutralizes things. So if there's a family situation that needs to be dealt with, now's the perfect time to do so. Now, moving on to matters of the heart in a different way, I know that there's many, many people out there seeking love, wanting to draw in love into their life. And for those of you that are fortunate enough to be in a stable, serious relationship and really enjoying getting to know someone new, it's the perfect time now, because Venus has just moved into the wonderful sign of Leo. Venus will be there till mid-October. Now, Venus sort of tells us to get our best glad rags out of the closet and sort of get all dressed up and be pretty and handsome and really strut our stuff, and tells us that, we can achieve anything. It's a time when we can really, in a sense, be a little bit of a show-off. We can show off our best traits, and whether that's to potential new suitors or whether it's to the person that's special in our lives now, or just to make a better impression on the world, it's the time to sort of really feel the love and really sort of get out there and perform and put your best foot forward and put a smile on your dial and sort of really sort of say, I'm glad to be in this life. I'm really happy to be alive. And that things are really starting to work out in a more positive way. And for those of you that are seeking love, it's a time where I want you to get out, strut your stuff, make sure that you're well dressed as many times as you can when you leave home. I know many times people meet the love of their life when they've just ducked out to get a carton of milk and haven't looked their best, or what they consider is their best, and that's when love's found them. So Venus here is sort of saying, it's time to put on a little bit of a performance. Put your best foot forward. Put a smile on your dial, step out the door, go to somewhere that you might not normally go to places where people go. It's a bit hard to meet somebody if you're going into something where you're doing a pastime that's by yourself. And, the chances of you meeting somebody down at the rifle range are pretty slim. But if you go to a discotheque, or you go to a concert or an outdoor event or something like that where people are, or go to a show, or you've got more chances of meeting a like-minded soul there than you do in an isolated sort of situation, take up 10-pin bowling, do something that's a group activity. It's time to step out of your comfort zone if you're looking for love. Now, the big news is Pluto has just gone retrograde and gone back into Capricorn. Now, I know I talk about Pluto just about every week on the show, but Pluto is such a major player at the moment. because it's a slow-moving planet and takes 224 years approximately to do one circuit of the zodiac. His time in any sign is very, very important, but even more so as he's coming to the end of a very, very long reign in a sign, and Pluto is coming to a very long end now in Capricorn. He's been there since about 2008, dipping his toe in the water a little bit then, and then really sort of intensified about 2010 onwards. So we've had a very, very long reign of Pluto. Now, Pluto will be remaining in Capricorn now until January 24, when he will move into Aquarius and start the very, very long determined trek in Aquarius. So the final months of Pluto in Capricorn are going to be quite interesting. Pluto governs things like big business, governments, anything official. It also governs things like climate change and how we view the world and the changes that we need to make to money markets to try and curb inflation, those sort of things. It also covers things like pandemics. So don't be sort of fooled just because Pluto's, in the last 6 months of being in Capricorn that we're going to have an easy ride. Usually I find when a planet is about to leave an energy or just starts moving into a new energy, this is when the energy is really, really super, super intense. It's like it's on steroids. Now, when a planet is leaving an energy, it's like it's got one last hurrah to sort of really leave their mark, to sort of leave the lessons behind that they wanted to be known for the time that they've spent during that energy. And particularly with a slow-moving planet like Pluto, Pluto's going to want to leave his mark. So we could see some upsets on the political arenas, whether or not that means that people are going to be, in courtrooms and things like that, sort of justifying their actions. That's one possibility. It can also be that any sort of secrets that have been hidden or hidden documents, things like that could surface. It's also a time when we're going to see sort of the war in Ukraine possibly ramp up and maybe be handled in slightly different way to what it has been, hopefully bringing it to an end. But we're also going to see people come more and more out of the woodwork and talk more about our weather and our climate change scenarios that are going on. There's a lot of people that don't believe in climate change, but there's an awful lot of people that do and believe we're not doing enough to save the planet and move towards renewable energy. So we're going to see a lot of that in the media as well. We're going to see a lot of people that are very opinionated. We're going to see people that sort of really jump on their bandwagon for their political beliefs that are going to become even stronger over the next 6 months. So don't be surprised if we see some rioting in the streets around the world of people sort of getting out there and wanting their voice to be heard for whatever the cause is that they believe is really important and urgent and running out of time. For us mere mortals on a personal level, it's a time now that we've got a chance to sort of sort through anything that needs to be sorted out, anything on an official front, anything that we believe that we've neglected, ignored, haven't sort of resolved or haven't found. And resolution doesn't always mean you've got to give in. There's certain situations in your life and certain people in your life sometimes that it's best to leave the door shut and say, I'm done. And then there's other situations that we need to go back and look at and say, well, hang on a minute, a lot of water's gone under the bridge, a lot of time's passed, maybe we can find a resolution, we can draw a line in the sand and just move forward from here. There is no right or wrong way to handle every particular personal situation. All I can suggest to you is listen to your heart, listen to what your heart is telling you, and what feels right for you is the right answer for you. It's not necessarily one size fits all or one answer fits every situation. So finally, we're going to wrap up with Neptune in Pisces. It's in its last months there. But this is really a positive thing because I feel Neptune here is starting to show us some more creative ways that we can find solutions to some of the problems that the world has been personally going through in this last few years as we've had so much intensity going on astrologically. Now maybe Neptune here is going to soften the way a little bit. Neptune sort of cleared away all the deception, all the people that were sort of trying to delude us, and now we're sort of left with a very raw but very insightful sort of look into some of the world events and some of our own personal events, and maybe, just maybe, we can find a creative solution. We should be looking forward to some really great movies and songs coming out because it is a very creative time for writers and songwriters and people that create things that are pleasant to the eye and things that we like to look and listen to. So it's a very, very creative time. We're going to take our first caller and it's Marianne in Dunor, Louth in Ireland. And I know I've got that wrong. How are you today, Marianne?
Hi,
Murray Reed.
I'm good. How are
I'm
you?
sorry, I apologise for getting your name wrong. How can I help you today, sweetie?
I'm late on my period, and I feel that I'm pregnant. I feel like fatigue and a wee bit nausea. I just want to know, can you see that if I conceive this month or if I'm pregnant?
Okay. I didn't quite understand your question there, sweetie. Can you repeat it for me?
I'm late on my period, sorry, and I'm just wondering, can you see if I conceive this month, if I'm pregnant?
Okay. All right. First thing that they're sharing with me is that you've got a lot of changes coming up around you at the moment. I appreciate that it's been a very difficult time as you've been trying to conceive a family. And that's always a very emotionally charged situation when, most people sort of look at it as being their God-given right as a woman to be able to reproduce and create a family. And for some people, they're not blessed with that blessing. For you, I feel that, you've got far too much stress in your life at the moment. I think we need to sort of try and turn that down a little bit and just sort of learn to go with the flow. And that's easier said than done, particularly when, you get all excited and hope that this is the month and this is the month that we're going to, produce, beautiful bundle of joy in 9 months' time, and then all of a sudden the disappointment comes in because we haven't conceived again. It's one of those very grey areas in psychic work that, we're not able to sort of really predict a medical situation or a pregnancy. What I can tell you is that on an energetic level, I do see you becoming a mum. I do see 2 little bundles of joy coming for you, whether it's now or whether it's in 3 months' time or 12 months' time, but I do see 2. So that's been shown to me from spirit.
I have 2 girls. One's 18 and one's 15. I have a grandson.
Okay. Well, taking it from that, I could only see two children. So I'm going to say then maybe potentially you're not going to, have another child because I only saw the 2, and that was being shown to me by spirit. It was sort of like, maybe there's something else that you need to be sort of focusing on. And, sometimes if we take our focus off wanting to become pregnant again, that we then sort of find by putting our energy into a new business venture or a new hobby that we've taken the pressure off things, and then it sort of just happens. It becomes a surprise. So I can only go with what I was given from spirit. I was given 2. And you said you've already got 2 children, so I can only take it from that they weren't sharing with me the potential of another baby. I'm sorry. But, they don't always have all the answers either, so I certainly wouldn't give up. That's where we're going to leave Mariette. We're going to talk with Joan in Pottstown in Pennsylvania in the USA. Are you there, Joan?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, sweetie. Do you have a question I can answer for you, Joan?
Yes, I was curious about 2 things. Where is my relationship going? And I have a disability hearing coming up. Curious as I can get any insight on those 2.
Okay, Joan, you've got a fair bit on your plate, haven't you, at the moment, with both of those issues are complex in their own right. Let's look at the relationship first. Has there been some changes in the relationship over the last 6 months? And what I'm seeing here is it's as if you've become stronger in yourself and you're speaking up for yourself a little bit more, and you're sort of saying, hang on a minute, I'm not happy with this. We need to sit down and talk about this. We need to make some changes. Is that what's been happening in the last 6 months, Joan?
Yes.
I want to say to you, keep going. Now, I'm not giving you an open check to say that you can do whatever you like. I'm just saying if something really is bothering you or something that you see is an issue in the relationship, then I think, gently but firmly bring it up, put it on the table, put it up for discussion, and then try and find a resolution that suits both of you. You can't have all your own way, and I know you're not expecting that, but, the
Right.
things that you've sort of brought to his attention have been things that I think really did need to be aired and did need to be addressed. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying I think there's still a little bit more work to be done. And you are changing.
His children.
Yeah.
His children. They will not accept me.
Oh, won't they? That makes it really difficult, Joan, if the children won't accept you. Is it because they think
21 and 24?
Oh, okay. All right. Look, at that age, I'd say forget. Don't even try to win them over, Joan, because at that age they think they know they have all the answers and they don't, and we know that. So, like, I mean, as long as they're not living with you guys on a permanent day-to-day basis, then I wouldn't allow that to upset you too much. They're young adults who are still very impressionable, that are still quite angry, I think, that their parents aren't together, and you're just copping the flack for that.
She passed away.
Right, but they're still blaming you even though you weren't in the picture when she passed away. Grief is one of those strange beasts, Joan, that we never know how people are going to react to it. And, I'm taking that they weren't babies when their mum passed away. They were, in their late teens?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a really hard time for people to lose a parent, particularly a mother. And I'm not trying to sound condescending here, but in some ways it's easier if they were much younger when it happened, because they're not so set in their ways. Now they're sort of looking at you.
I was going to say they had no relationship with her.
Yeah, and they're looking at you as if you're trying to replace her. You're not trying to do that. In a few years' time, they'll come to understand that Dad has a right to some happiness and a new life, and they'll be thankful that you're in his life because it means they can get on with theirs. But at the moment, they're in just too much pain. It's a really difficult situation. All you can do is be there, be polite to them. You don't have to love them. You don't even have to like them. You just have to be polite to them and just know that they will turn a corner one day, and, they will accept you in time. But I know it doesn't make it any easier now for what you're going through now, and I know that, but it's just it's one of those things. You've got to be the bigger person here and turn the other cheek. As difficult as that is, that's the only course that I can suggest that you do. And, when somebody's been through a death like that, and even, the special man in your life, he's going to have bad days still, even though he's happy with you. There's no magic
timetable. Right, but shouldn't he put his foot down with them and say, hey, you can at least accept her?
I don't know that he can put his foot down. I mean, I think he can ask them to be polite.
Right.
That's where I would come from. They don't have to like you. They don't have to love you, but they do at least need to be pleasant and polite and use their manners that they were brought up with. And they weren't brought up to be this rude. And that's how I think I would approach that. You can't force somebody to like you, but you can expect people's behaviour to be civil, that they are polite to you. And I think that if we can get that, then I think we're halfway there. So before we run out of time, Joan, I want to move on to your disability claim. So that's about to head to a court of law or something official like that, is it, Joan?
Yes, I go in front of the judge next month.
Okay. Technically, by laws that govern the USA and here in Australia, we're not allowed to talk about legal things. What I can do is I can talk about it on an energetic front. And on an energetic front, they're showing me that it will definitely be resolved. And I feel it's going to be resolved. The way they were showing it to me was it was gentle. It was sort of like, okay, it's final, it's finished, but it didn't seem to be quite as harsh or as negative as what you were anticipating it could have been. So I'm going to take from that the results of this are going to be good, that you're going to be happy with it.
Would there be a chance time around?
Yeah, hang on a second. Would there be a chance that this could be settled and not actually enter a court of law?
I have a hearing on the phone.
Right, yeah, but is there a chance that this could be settled and not having to sort of go, not that you know of, okay? Because I just felt what they kept showing me was like you were being handed something, like being made an offer or a settlement that, would you be prepared to accept this? And then the whole lot goes away.
Okay. All right, I have one more question if you have time, quick. What about my boyfriend that was in the house fire? You think he's going to come out with that lawsuit?
I do, but I think there's still some more tricky. I think there's still more tricky situations to come out around that. There's more information that's got to be gathered before that gets to a resolution, Joan.
But he should get a decent settlement, you think?
Yeah, I think he will, but I think there's a few more twists and turns before we get to that point. Anyway, Joan, that's where we're going to leave it. We've come to the end of the show. It's always interesting, as you know, we deal with people around the world and everybody has different issues, whether they be legal or pregnancies or whatever. You know, they're all important issues. And I want to say to people that, you know, we're governed here on this show by the laws of the USA and the country that we reside in to the types of questions that we can answer. So, you know, legal situations and pregnancy situations are not things that we're technically allowed to answer, but we go around, or I go around it in an energetic way. So hopefully that clarifies that. So this week I want to leave you with a song that's an oldie but a goodie, and it's one of my favourite songs. It's called Angel of the Morning by Juice Newton. It's a very beautiful love song, and it's something that just sort of makes your heart sing. And I think that's really important at the moment, that we could all do with an angel in the morning. So until next week, bye for now and have a great week.